In this day and age, in this time that we're living in this little panorama that we got going on, I'm not always motivated, but I am disciplined. Hello. My name is Igho. Welcome back to Igho Initiative, where we create self-care systems to help us live our best lives and support our communities without sacrificing our health. If this is your first time on my channel, again, my name is Igho. I am a poet, speaker, community educator, and wellness consultant. I know it sounds like a lot, but essentially, I teach people how to prioritize their wellness, and I do so by being an example and proof of just how easy it can be to do so on a daily basis. For today's Wellness Wednesday chat, I'm going to be talking about motivation, how to get motivated and stay motivated. Now, in this day and age, in this time that we're living in this little panorama that we got going on, there's a lot of people that are talking about how to stay productive, including myself, how to be on top of your stuff. But you know what? Being in lockdown for some states, especially in Canada, we are still stuck at home. The thing that we just experienced all together, it was just really difficult to stay motivated when there's so many pressing issues that are happening in the world. And so I want to talk about what it looks like to actually stay motivated. A lot of times we talk about motivation in this way of like, you know, especially now that we are in a more so digital age, there's social media, there's so many places that you can look to, there's so many gurus online, people who are experts in things. And I'm not saying this facetiously, I'm not mocking people who are influencers, for instance. People have their social media filled with people that they admire and people who motivate them and inspire them to do all these things. And so I want to talk about what it's like to actually have self-motivation as opposed to looking for outside validation and looking for people to help you stay motivated in terms of your goals. A lot of the times we hear some excuses that people have when it comes to accomplishing their goals. It's just like, if I was a little bit more this, or if I had this, or whatever have you. People sometimes make excuses when it comes to their goals because they lack quote unquote motivation or the inspiration to do certain things. And so I want to address that a little bit today and then offer some tips, of course, on how to get motivated, stay motivated. I want to start this conversation with a quote that I really like that I heard. I'm not always motivated, but I am disciplined. So of course I'm going to talk about discipline. I think that motivation is actually very fleeting, just like happiness. And so I want to switch it a little bit and talk about self-motivation and how that is very similar to actually just being disciplined. Because if you are talking about just solely accomplishing your goals or making changes based off of motivation, you are in a lose-lose situation because you're not always going to be motivated. And honestly, motivation isn't always necessary. But if you are disciplined, on the other hand, you are able to show up for yourself and get that thing done despite your level of motivation that day. And so that is what I want to talk about today, and that is what I want to offer you. All right, self-motivation, aka discipline. Let's talk about it. So, quick little story time. I have a really round face, and so it's really clear when I have gained some weight, and I have shared this with people in my community, like my close sister friends, and they're like, where? What do you mean you gained some weight? But I really have. And it is shocking to me and it's uncomfortable for me because historically I've always been a tiny person. I've been very slim. In fact, when I was younger, I was very sickly. Very tiny little thing. My collarbones were like dug in deep, and so I've always just been a slimmer person. In grade school, I was very active. I was on almost all of the team. I was on the basketball team, and even when I quit halfway through the basketball team, I was the team manager, so I was always on the go. I was on different councils. I had meetings. Like, I was just moving about all the time. I still do very much the same thing, even just before the quarantine. I'm a poet, I'm a facilitator, so I'm always moving around all about Toronto, and I don't drive, so I was always on public transit, always on the go. So I live a very active lifestyle, and I have now found, though, because of the quarantine, I'm on the computer 14 hours a day, and it has just definitely been a whole lot different. And as I've gotten older, as soon as I hit 30, my knees were like, sis, get it together. My metabolism has slowed down. And even before I got to this point, though, just before the quarantine started, at the top of it, I actually reached out to someone and got a personal trainer because even before I started to gain weight, I wanted to get more toned. My upper body was really, really weak and I wanted to get more strength in my arms. And so that was my initial goal. And then, of course, work on some specific areas. Long story short, I got a personal trainer, but because of other priorities, things came up, had some personal trials, I had to pause for a second. And that is when I realized that I wasn't actually as disciplined as I thought I was. And so when I did have to take that break, I realized that I actually relied a lot more on my personal trainer to stay motivated and the community that she created in order to stay motivated when it came to my fitness goals. Because lo and behold, when I took that break, I gained even more weight. And so now I'm like at the utmost level of being uncomfortable in my own body, and that is not good. And so that is where we are today. So I want to talk about steps that I've taken and give you some tips on how to get motivated and stay motivated when it comes to achieving your goals. So I'm going to share with you 5 tips on how to get motivated and stay motivated. So the first step is to get real with yourself about what the problem is. What is the issue? Get really specific about what is going on with you. Is your way working? Clearly for me, I feel uncomfortable in my body, so my way is not working. So I had to get really honest with myself. Sis, you are not a little 19-year-old anymore. Your metabolism is not the same. Yes, I eat quote unquote fairly healthy, but again, when I had to take that break, when I had other priorities, eating was the last thing on my mind. Sometimes I didn't eat, and then sometimes when I did eat, I would overeat, or I'm eating out. All of these things add up. And so I had to get real with myself and be like, you have a problem. Let's figure out a solution. And so first step for you to getting motivated and staying motivated is to get really honest with yourself about what the problem is. Get very specific about the problem so that you can look towards creating a solution. The next step is to decide and get clear on your why. So it's not just about just setting a goal. You have to get clear on what the goal is, why you are setting that goal, and what that means for you. With my example, it's not just to lose weight. Yes, that's the goal, but I have to get clear on the fact that I don't feel comfortable in my body right now. And the older that I get, the slower my metabolism might be. And so I have to get really, really disciplined with how I take care of my body so that, for instance, Lord's will, I get married and I have children, I want to be able to play with my children. I want to be able to be active with them. I want to be able to live long enough to see them grow. I don't want to have diseases. I don't want to be uncomfortable in my body. I don't want to wake up after a workout and not be able to move and be like mincing about and have knee problems when I get older. There's so many layers of it. It's not just about me looking a certain type of way. Granted, I'm used to my body looking a certain type of way, so I would like to maintain that the older that I get. So again, get really, really clear on what your why is behind the goal, not just the goal itself. The next step is to get some support and accountability. So I've talked about accountability multiple times on this channel. If you know, you know. Accountability is a word that people throw around a lot, and I don't think a lot of people understand what that means. I've been in many a clubhouse rooms and they be talking about accountability and people just kind of throw the blame at each other, and it's like, that's not what accountability is. Accountability is literally being responsible, having the ability to respond to circumstances in your life, but you are accountable. No one else is accountable for your happiness or to keep you motivated. And so, yes, it's great to have support, but you also have to have that accountability to back it up. So, example, yes, I got a personal trainer. I invested in a personal trainer, but my personal trainer cannot work out for me. She can't lose the weight for me. She can obviously give me routines and workouts while we're training. She can give me tips on how to eat better, how to do certain cleanses and stuff, but she can't do those things for me. And so if I'm not showing up for myself, if I'm not being responsible and actually implementing what she is teaching me to do, and also just simply showing up for what I've invested in, then it's kind of a waste. So that's the other piece to staying motivated. You have to really want to get a return on your investment. That'll definitely get you motivated right quick. When you know you have invested some money into something, that is motivation in itself. So showing up is part of that support and that accountability. It is your goal. It is not your personal trainer's. For me, talking to myself now, it's not anyone else's goal but yours. And so you have to have some accountability. You have to be responsible for the choices that you make. If you wake up and you say, I don't feel like I want to do this, that is on you. Again, I want to stress it. Accountability is so important. After you have gotten real with yourself about what the issue is, and then you've decided and gotten clear on your why, get some supports and make sure that you are accountable to the things that you want to change in your life. Now, the next step is to create and document your process. It's a two-parter. The first step is to create a process. So you've gotten real with yourself, you've gotten clear on your goal, you have gotten some support and accountability. I'm going to use my example. Obviously, I have times when I work out with my trainer. In between training sessions, I love running. And so every other day when I'm not with my trainer, I am running. And of course, I rest on the Sabbath. So that is one part of my process. And then the other part of my process is knowing myself and understanding that I am not a person who works out at nighttime. If I don't get that workout done in the morning, it's not gonna happen. I know myself at this point. I've been on this earth for 30 years. I know how I operate. And so I know that I need to sign up for the morning sessions with my trainer, and then also that I need to wake up at a certain time for me to be able to get my workout done. So create a routine first of all, and then really understand who you are so that you can actually have a process in place that works, so that that routine is a well-oiled machine and you can continue to replicate that process. So that's creating the process. And then you want to document your process, because documenting your process is another thing to help you be motivated. So if you're taking pictures, you are, for the Nike Run Club app there, I always take a picture after the fact. I see my progress in terms of my pace, how far I've gone with my trainer. We have a little community where we take pictures after we work out, and we take pictures of our food. And so that is me documenting the process. So on the days when I feel some type of way and I get a little notification from our group, I know that that'll help me obviously stay motivated, and then I'm reminded to continue to document my process. And also, when you document your process, then you're able to share with another person. I'm able to share these tips with you all because this is actually how I live my life. And so documenting the process is really, really important, not just for yourself, but for other people. It's another thing that kind of keeps you going. Speaking of which, we are people who like not yes, instant gratification for some people, but also we need visual cues and reminders. Even if you don't think that you're a visual learner, it's very satisfying to accomplish something, to see that it's been accomplished, and to get the little tick, that little check mark. And so if you're documenting the process, say you're taking photos of yourself daily, you share them, maybe you're someone who likes to share on social media to hold you accountable. That's one way of documenting the process. There's also just a simple like X on the calendar. That's another thing to help you get motivated. And I actually got that tip from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. It's leaving yourself little cues and visual reminders. Oh, that reminds me. Also, in terms of creating your process, it helps if you attach that habit to another thing, then it's easy for you to continue to do that thing and not make excuses. If I wake up in the morning and I do part of my morning routine, and while I'm making my bed, I'm already in my workout gear, that leaves very little room for me to make excuses about not going to do my workout, not going for that run, or logging in for my personal training session. And so make sure that you are aligning your new habits with old habits that you already do routinely in terms of creating your process. Once you've created your process and you're documented consistently, rinse and repeat. Just keep doing it, keep showing up, and then it becomes second nature to you. The final tip is to acknowledge and celebrate your wins. Again, we are people who like things to be acknowledged. That's not necessarily a bad thing as long as you're not relying on other people to celebrate you or like give you recognition. But staying motivated is if you're able to say, you know what, I'm proud of myself, or you know what, actually give thanks that you were able to wake up yet another day and do the thing that you said that you were going to do. Something as little as that, or even treating yourself. And little caveat with treating yourself, you don't want to treat yourself in a way that is going against your actual goal. So for instance, I'm not going to celebrate the fact that I went for a 5K run this morning by eating unhealthy, eating ice cream, something ridiculous like that. That's actually against my goal, and so that doesn't make sense. So make sure that your celebration aligns with your goal as well, and that actually is another way to help you continue to stay motivated. Whether it be a small win or a big win, make sure that you are acknowledging and celebrating those along the way, and it helps you stay motivated to continue going, to keep showing up for yourself. So those are the tips that I have for you. I hope that it supports you and you're able to utilize them. There are so many other ways that you can stay motivated and stay self-motivated, I should say, and stay disciplined. So if you have any other tips that you'd like to share, definitely leave them in the comments below. And in case you missed it, I posted a planning video where I shared my digital planner, which is another great tool for you to help you stay motivated. Remember, I talked about visual cues and being able to acknowledge when some of the digital planning sheets actually have a daily habit tracker. And so that is another way for you to motivate yourself and to celebrate your wins. If you have a little check mark or you shade in that habit that aligns with your goal for the day, it's another way for you to stay consistent and stay motivated. And I know that it's definitely such a fulfilling thing for me to go at the end of the day and shade in all the things that I accomplished for the day, and it just makes me feel good about myself and it keeps me disciplined. And so a planner is another tool that will help you stay motivated and disciplined if you're able to document your process in that way. It really just checks all the boxes in terms of the tips. If you're someone who plans or you're looking to get into planning, definitely check out that video. But also, if you want to get a hold of the digital planner, it'll be in the description box below. And of course, if you just want to be a part of the tribe, all you got to do is subscribe, pull up a seat, make sure that you are staying hydrated. Say your piece in the comments below, and I'll talk to y'all real soon. Peace and love.